Su Lim Tao is the first hand form of the three hand forms of the Wing Chun system. It is very important because it lays the foundation of the system. It is like the lighthouse of the system. In fact, a lot of Wing Chun fighting techniques come from Su Lim Tao. So we have to follow the correct movements to develop our original Wing Chun techniques. Su Lim Tao means little idea. That means when we practice Su Lim Tao, we got to get rid of any ideas. We got to concentrate on practicing. So we got to relax and keep calm. We got to get rid of any tension. We got to practice it very, very slowly.
This is EG Kim Yong-ma. This is the main sense in Wing-Chun system. Now we call it EG because in Chinese the character 2 is one short line here, another long line here. That form the Chinese character 2. So EG means the character 2. Kim Yang means the go gripping. That means when the go charges you in this way, you use your knee to grip his hand. So we call it Kim Yang means a go gripping. Now we sustain in this way. Bend down knee, lock down knee, the force coming in, and the feet pointing inward in like a 45 degree, like this. Okay, the side view is like this. Like this. Now, we should feel comfortable. If we lean backward too much, it's not good. Too much forward is not good. So we should feel comfortable in this way. And now, why we stay in this way? For example, when somebody kicks you in this way, then you can use what? The knee to block it. So it's like ripping the head of a goat. So this is Yi Ji Kim Jiao Ma. Now, this is the crossing Dan Sao. Now, here is in the center line. Now look. In this way, this is too high and this is too low. Okay? Now, he can block a what? He can block even a kick like this. One or punch like this. And then, and this like a double hand turns out, a cross hand turns out. It is in this way. This too far away, it's too close. And here is along the center line, so we can see through here. And when we do this and this, we use this point to adjust our center line. And here, in fact, it also can block a punch, even like this. So when your arm is low, it's low like this, and somebody punch you, you can block it like this. Now, this is Yat Ji Chong Yun. It's also called thrust punch or Chong Yun or straight punch. Now we punch along the center line, So because the shortest distance between 2 points is the center line. So we punch along the center line, and when we punch, we got to stand firm, lock the knee, and firm, all the way. Then when we reach the target, we concentrate the power here and hit the target. Look like this. So when we punch, extend the arm and turn the wrist like this. And we punch with these two knuckles. These two knuckles like this. So now even with the short distance, with the effective Chong Yun, we still hurt the opponent. For example, this goal, we can still punch, execute a powerful Chong Yun like this, like this. it is called a Chun Sao. Chun. It means a circle. We draw a circle with our arm. Now when we draw a circle with our arm, with our hand, when we do the Chun Sao, keep the arm straight. And bend it as much as possible. Use all the force and turn it like this in order to train the wrist. So it is like this. And then relax. So now we train our wrist in this way. For example, in Chi style, something like this. This Tan Sao, this Bok Sao. I cannot penetrate. But when I use the Yun Sao, then make his arm outdoor. Then it's over here and I strike. Now this is the application of Yun Sao. So in Chi Sao is very useful. For example, like this. Yun and strike. Yun and strike. So this application of Yun Sao. Now this is the retreating arm. It means that we retreat our arm. But it is also called an elbow strike. Because in fact, when we retreat our arm to the back, we expose the elbow. Like a strike, like this. So when somebody grabs you behind you, then you can execute powerful elbow strike. Right? And elbow strike is very powerful. Then it helps you to release the grab. Okay. Now this is the first Tan Sao in the Siu Tao form. When we do this Tan Sao, we should do it very, very slowly. Along the center line, the elbow close to the center line, like this. And it's like this. This is not good, too close. The upper arm is too close to the body. It should be like this, along the center line. And one more thing, look, we should close our finger. We should not do this. Why? When someone punch you, if we use a Tan Sao to block the punch, if the punch end in the finger, then the punch could break our finger. So we should close our finger. Now, look, when I punch like this, and it can block with a Tan Sao. So Tan Sao is mainly used in defense. It's very useful in the system, also in fighting. This is Jump Sao. It is also called semicircle hand because it's like drawing a semicircle. But in fact, the main use is here. Now, for example, in Chi Sao, when you strike, with the palm strike, then I do this. So it's like this. That's why in the form we call it Jump Sao here. But it's like drawing a semicircle. It is called a semicircle hand. It's very useful in Chi Sao. Again, like this. It's very useful in defense. This side. Now this is Wu Sao. In the form we treat it in this way. In Chi Sao, in fighting, Wu Sao can block a lot of strike. For example, when the strike like this, and Wu Sao block like this. Another example, look. When he used the lap da, when he grabbed me, and I use the Wu Sao to block it. So Wu Sao is very useful in defense. This book Sao. In the form we do it very slowly. We concentrate the power here and keep sticking to the opponent's arm. We also concentrate the power here too. And elbow close to the center line. Bend our hand like this. And this standard posture. This too close. This too far. This will be like this. Box out means a controlling hand. It means now, when this box out stick to my arm, then it's like controlling my arm. Whenever I move, then this box out senses this, then he will do respond. For example, when I strike, then he used the jump out to block my strike like this. So box out is very useful in Chi Sao, in defense. For example, I strike. He spokes out the senses and he does the reaction and defend. When he strikes, my spokes out, senses this and block it. And right here, I want to remind that when we do the jump out, when he strikes, the jump out go in this way, outward, not downward. So from hook out to the jump out. So here, hook out is very useful in Chi Sao. This is Park Sao. In one we park just next to the shoulder. That's enough. No need to do this far. Just like this. Park Sao use it in defense and also in breaking through the opponent's defense. Now, very simple defense usage is when I punch, we block with the Park Sao. When he punch, then I use the Park Sao to block it. It's like this. Now Park Sao can break through the opponent's defense. For example, I use the Park Sao here because his arms is blocking me, and so I break it and punch. Now this side is Park Sao, tap and strike. So Park Sao is very useful in fighting in Chi Sao. Another example is like this. Tap and strike. Or I use this one. Tap and strike. Now, this is Jing Jiang. It is also called erect palm strike, or front palm strike. It's like this. Now, for example, when we strike like this, and because the area is big, so it's easy to reach the target. Now, sometimes in Chisel, we can use the palm strike, for example, like this, half strike like this, lap and palm strike like this. It's a yan jiang. Yan means the seal of stem. This is side gum stop. Side means at the side of the body. Now we face our hand like this. And when we do it like this. Now how to use this? For example, when your opponent uses the elbow lock against you, before he finishes it, you step in and use the gum stop. Then you can get rid of elbow lock with the gum stop. After that, you can use the shoulder strike. Another example, like this. The other side, like this. So this is the side gum stop. This is a back gum stop. Means the gum stop in the back. We seldom use this back gum stop. But in case, for example, when your opponent lock your arm, elbow lock, here, elbow lock. So you still have one arm. Use the back gum stop to strike like this. The other side is like this. So this back gum stop. This is a front gum stop. This is like a side gum stop and the back gum stop, but the position is in front of our body. We can use the front gum stop to block an arm, a front punch like this. Then when I punch, you can use the gum stop to block it. So we call it front gum stop. But if we turn the hand to the sideward, then we can strike like this. This is the front gum stop. Now, this is the line stop. Or bar arm is in front of us. It can block a push like this. This is flipping hand. Now when one arm is like this, we make our arm like this. The wrist do not keep it straight and strike. This is not powerful, and we cannot control our arm well. It's like this, like a whip, like a striking with a whip. We can strike at any angle. Which is very useful in Chisel. For example, when you grab and strike like this. The other side, when you grab like this, and strike in the neck. It's very powerful. Now this lan sao, this is double jump sao. Jump means to chop. Jump sao means a chopping hand, like use a knife to chop something. Chop, chop. Now here lan sao can be used with jump sao, very effective. For example, when I push him, then he used the jump sao, diverse my arm. So it's very useful. For example, when he push me, jump sao. So this lan sao, arm with jump sao. And shifting view. Now we can change it to other techniques like this. For example, when I shift, change the jump sao to grab, and or this, or this. So in the form is like this, but we can change this to other techniques too. So like this. So this lan sao and jump sao. When we change this, is very useful. Either side. Now this is the tan sao, double tan sao, from the jump sao positions like this. For example, when someone strikes with double punch, then you can use the double tan sao to block. So this double tan sao is very useful, and of course people seldom use double punch. But with breaking, just single tan sao is useful. It's like this. So of course here we also can change the tan sao. If we add the action like this, then it becomes top sao. Look like tan sao, but top sao. For example, when he used the beauty, I can use this. To diverse, change his arm to other direction. So double tan sao is like this. This is a double jat sao. Jat sao. That means we drag our elbow suddenly like this. Now, single hand is like this. We keep our elbow close to the center line, and lead to action, not too much. Don't show our elbow like this. Okay, so this jat sao. Jat sao is very useful. For example, now he can use the jat sao to bring my arms down and then strike. Okay, and it's like this, and then strike like this too. In chi sao, for example, here this position, use jat sao, right? Jat sao like this, and then strike with this. This jat sao. Now, if we build up the action like this, the tension, we need the tension like this, then I use the jat sao, and he leads to me, and I can easily strike him powerfully. Like this. Jat sao is very useful. This double hand beauty. Aim at the eyes. Aim at the eyes. Beauty. Aim at the eyes. Beauty means a trust finger. Trust finger. It usually aim at the eyes in striking. Now here, we can combine what? Combine the like the tok sao, just sao, and the beauty together, something like this. For example, when I strike beauty, he used tok sao, and then he used just sao to bring my arm back and strike and use tok sao like this, and then when I use the just sao, I can change it to double gum sao like this, and then strike with the beauty. We can do it lots. So this is a very useful training method. This gum sao, long bridge gum sao, or Chun gum sao. Chun means a long bridge because we extend our arm to the most gum. For example, when I used it double strike, and he used the gum sao to defend. And also, when I use his arm, it's like this, then I use the gum sao to press down. This is a double gum sao. And in Chi sao position, after this we use the gum sao. So this is Chun gum sao. Strike, gum, gum and strike. So this gum sao, single hand gum sao. In the form is double hand gum sao. This is Tai sao, means the lifting hands. In the form, it comes from the double gum sao, like this. For example, when I use the gum sao to press down his arm, and then I use the Tai sao to strike, like this. Right, so also in Chi sao, for example, gum sao, and then I can use this, right? I can use this. It's Tai sao. This is Zhang Jiang. Zhang means falling sideward. Palm strike. It's different from the erect palm strike. It's a Zhang Jiang. It's also called Sat Gang sao. Sat Gang means killing the neck. For example, we strike in the neck like this. So it's called Sat Gang sao. Of course, in Chi sao, we have techniques. It's very useful. It's like this. So this is Sat Gang sao. Now this is another Tan sao. This Tan sao comes from this position and along the center line, very fast. So in reality, we got to use the fast speed, high speed. So this Tan sao along the center line. For example, when he strike me, then I use the Tan sao. When he strike me with a punch. Okay, then I use the Tan sao. The other side. Tan sao. Use the Tan sao to block it. So in this position. So this Tan sao. Now this Gan sao, Gan means a low rocking arm. Like this. Now how to use this? For example, when he used a cut like this, then I use uppercut. I use the cancel like this. Cancel like this. And if we use, for example, thrust kick, then I use the cancel like this. Cancel. So this cancel, it covers this area. Cover this area with. Now this cancel, another cancel. This cancel come from what? Come from the cancel position. It's like this. It's different from the other cancel. Now, before we have cancel like this, right? But now this cancel is like this. It's very useful to cover this area. The right side cover this area with the cancel. Cancel. So cover this whole area. For example, when you use the sweep punch, then I use cancel. Use the cancel to block it like this. And this side also like this. Like this. So cancel is very useful in defense, and is also one of the main defensive techniques in Wing Chun system. Now this is Chun Sao. This is a low line palm or Dai Zhap Jiang, and we have discussed Zhap Jiang before. And this is also called lifting hand, like this. Now, in the form is like this. Now, in Chi Sao, for example, when I use the Chun Sao and the palm strike, low line palm strike, Dai Zhap Jiang. But when after strike, came with the low line palm strike, here is open. He can strike me here. Then I use what? Use the lifting hand cancel like this. So in the form, it is like this. Of course, in fact, in Chi Sao, after this, and we change to this, like a cancel. So it's very useful in defense. Now, this is Bong Sao. Bong Sao is a unique technique in Wing Chun system. Now, we study in this way. Here, along the center line, parallel to the center line, and horizontal. This part is like this. This part is lower than this point. The side view is like this. Okay. Now here, this upper arm should be firm, and the lower arm, the front arm should be elastic with some force. Not tight, not stiff, like a like a spring, like this. Now it can block at what I punch. For example, when I punch, then he block with a Bong Sao. So, for example, when he punch, then I block it. It's like this. Now, Bong Sao in Chi Sao is very useful. For example, very useful. When he used the lapta, when he grabbed it, I immediately shift and use the Bong Sao to block the punch. It's very useful in defense in Chi Sao techniques. Let's do more. When I grab, I can use the bong sao. Okay? When he grab and punch, I use the bong sao. Bong sao. This bong sao. This bong sao. So bong sao is very useful in chi sao. So this is bong sao, especially when. Now this is tan sao. Another tan sao in the form. It comes from what? Start from the position of bong sao like this. So this is tan sao. That means here tan sao is combined with bong sao. It's very useful in chi sao. Example. Here, he used the bong sao, but he can use the tan sao to what? To do this and strike, right? So when he strike, I use the bong sao to block, and I change the bong sao to tan sao position. It's like this, and combine with the pak sao, like this. So the tan sao here combined with the bong sao are very useful. Like what we are doing now is lowering arm. It means we roll our arms with the bong sao, tan sao, bong sao, tan sao, like this. So tan sao is very useful in Wing Chun system, especially in the chi sao training process. So like this, and you can use it to block it and strike. Then I change it to tan sao, strike like this. So this is another tan sao. This is Wang Jiang. Wang Jiang means facing upward palm strike in this way. Now, for example, in chi sao process, when I use the tan sao, and here, in this position, I can use what? Wang Jiang. So it's like this. It's like this. In lapta, now when he used the lapta, right? Then I change it to tan sao, then this is Wang Jiang. So this is Wang Jiang. Now this is called last sao or freeing hand. Freeing hand. When we do this, we twist this hand, this arm, and also twist this hand like this. Now, how to use it? For example, when somebody grab your arm like this, now you twist this one, twist it, make the grip loose, and use this one to get rid of it. So this last sao like this. Right, the other side, like this. Like this. Now, for example, in chi sao, now, when he used the elbow strike and grab my arm like this, now if I don't defend, then he can strike me with another arm, right? So before he finish this combination, I use what? Last sao. So freeing hand like this. Now we have analyzed the movements in seeing how we can combine some of the techniques into combination. For example, like this Taisao, this straight punch, we combine it in one combination like this. That means the block and strike at the same time. Of course, we can combine with shifting. It's good. For example, when he uses a punch, then I block with the punch up and strike at the same time. Like this. Now another combination, very common one is like this, the Gansao, straight punch. Now how we use it? For example, like this, block and strike at the same time. Another combination is like this. For example, both arms in contact, use the pass out and the Chun. Of course, he can block it like this. Now, another example, right? When he strike, then I also use the pass out to block it again, right? Now, we can use other techniques in defense here. When you use the pass out and strike, I change it to turn out and strike. This is another combination. So in fact, we have many combinations from Shooting Tao. Now, the techniques in Shooting Tao can be used in Qisao. In fact, many techniques in Qisao come from Shooting Tao. For example, I use the left sao and fast sao, gum sao, straight punch, or side sao, like this. Of course, he can defend. For example, when I left, he can use the bong sao to block it. Or he used the left da. For example, when he grab me, I can use the wu sao to defend. This wu sao comes from Shooting Tao. So I press and strike like this. So Riheng Qisao is a very good training process, and we should enjoy Qisao. Go on. Now we have analyzed the techniques from Shooting Tao. We can use the techniques in Riheng Qisao.